They left for the cruise without me, 2 decks, 14 family members, and my travel insurance account. I only found out from a Voyage post. When I called, my mom said, "We thought better without you." An hour later, my cousin sent me a text meant for someone else. "He always forgives anyway." I just replied, "Smooth sailing." Then I reported the booking as fraud, froze the card, and canceled their dock passes. At 9:17 a.m., I got 84 missed calls. One read, "We can't board." I found out my entire family went on a cruise without me because my Aunt Lisa, who hasn't texted me since 2016, decided to send a smug little message that just said, "Bon voyage." I thought it was a mistake genuinely, like maybe she was trying to text one of her old wine club friends. I hadn't spoken to her in almost a year. Then a second later, my phone buzzed again. A photo this time. 14 of them. My entire family. 2 damn decks of them on the ship. I had spent weeks researching and planning. Matching t-shirts that read, "The Jackson family takes the sea." My mom, my dad, my younger brother Kyle, who hasn't held down a job for more than 6 months. Grandma, who supposedly had hip pain too severe for travel. Even cousin Trevor, who called cruises floating disease traps a few months ago. All of them smiling like they just pulled off the heist of the century. And not one of them had mentioned it to me. Not once. Took me about 15 seconds to realize what they'd done. 6 months ago, I had found the cruise, compared prices, called to ask about accessibility for Grandma, told them about the drink packages and shore excursions. I was the one who made the spreadsheet. I was the one who booked the group tickets. It was my cruise. But I made one mistake. I went on a month-long vacation to Europe with my girlfriend back in April. I didn't invite anyone. Not my mom, not my dad, not Kyle, because it was a couple's trip, romantic, private, and apparently that was offensive. After I got back, I noticed my mom was colder than usual. They stopped inviting me to family dinners. My sister unfollowed me on Instagram. I figured they were just being petty. I had no idea they were planning to cut me out of the trip I created and pretend I didn't exist. So I called my mom. She answered like I was the last person she wanted to hear from. I asked her what was going on. Her answer, "We thought it would be better without you." That was it. No apology, no fake excuse, no sugarcoating, just straight up exile family style. Then she hung up. I just sat there holding the phone, staring at the wall, feeling something shift. Not sadness, not even shock, just clarity. An hour later, Trevor sent me a text. Probably meant for Kyle or my sister. He always forgives. They really thought I was that guy, the one who gets stepped on and shrugs. They thought they could use my name, my booking, my credit card, and just sail away like I wouldn't notice or wouldn't care. They had no idea who they were messing with. I replied, "Bon voyage." Then I opened my banking app, found the $42,763 travel insurance charge that was still active under my name. Froze the card immediately. Next, I called the cruise line. Turns out when you cancel your own card and file a fraud report, things move fast. I gave them every detail they needed. Names, birthdays, booking reference numbers. By the time I hung up, every dock pass attached to my account was canceled. Gone. Disconnected. They wouldn't find out until they tried to board. The next morning, I woke up to 84 missed calls. 5 voicemails. Texts from every direction. Most of them frantic and misspelled. The last voicemail was from Uncle Mike. Short, panicked. "We can't get on board." I laughed so hard I had to sit down. By the next morning, I was a trending topic in the family group chat. 84 missed calls, voicemails filled with panic, fake concern, and a lot of "how could you do this to us?" which was hilarious considering they'd spent the past 2 months plotting how to screw me over like it was some kind of family Olympics. The text shifted fast from rage to pleading. At first, it was stuff like, "You're being immature. You don't understand how much this cost us. Grow up, Cody." Then they pivoted. "Just come over. We want to talk. Cody, please don't let this tear us apart. You're better than this." No, I was just tired of pretending I wasn't. I let them stew for another day just to see how desperate it would get. By Sunday night, they finally dropped the facade. A message came from my mom that said, Cody, we're having everyone over tomorrow night. Just come by. No drama. We promise. We want to explain everything face to face. I didn't reply, but I showed up. Not because I wanted their explanation, but because I wanted to see how they'd spin it in person. I pulled up to the house around 6 o'clock. The driveway was packed like it was Thanksgiving. I walked in without knocking. Everyone was already there. My parents, sister, Trevor, Uncle Mike, even Grandma sitting like some kind of mob boss in her recliner with a blanket over her knees. I half expected them to chant. Shame, like I was the villain in their Hallmark movie. No one spoke for a second. Then my dad stood and did the whole We're Family Cody performance like he was auditioning for a part in a bad soap opera. I just stared at him. I didn't say a word. I wanted to hear what the official version of the story would be. My mom took over. She said they'd assumed I wouldn't want to go after taking that trip with my girlfriend, that I'd excluded them first. That my month in Europe made them feel like I didn't care anymore. So, they planned the cruise without me out of hurt, not malice. Then my sister jumped in talking about how I always do things on my own and how they were tired of being left behind. So, I asked the obvious. And your solution was to steal my trip and use my money to do it? The room went silent. Uncle Mike mumbled something about just going along with it like that made him innocent. Trevor, who'd been pretending to scroll on his phone, suddenly wanted to be involved and said, "We thought you'd be mad either way. So you decided to make sure I had a reason." They didn't apologize. Not really. They said things like, "We didn't mean for it to go this far, and we can't undo it, so let's move on." Which is basically code for, let's pretend this never happens so you can keep being our punching bag. Then my mom hit me with this gem. "We've booked another cruise. A cheaper one. But we want you to come as a family to fix this." I asked if it was already paid for. She said yes. I asked who paid for it. She said, "We all chipped in." So now they could afford their own cruise. Imagine that. I looked around the room and told them I'd think about it. They seemed relieved, like I was falling back into my role as the peacemaker, the forgiving one, the idiot who always shows up to fix what they break. I left without promising anything, but I already knew exactly what I was going to do. 2 days after their awkward little intervention, I booked a cruise. Not just any cruise. A 2-week, no expenses spared Caribbean cruise with 5 countries, 6 excursions, a private balcony suite, and unlimited everything. The one they wanted. That was amateur hour. I booked something better, and I didn't go alone. I took my girlfriend, who still couldn't believe what my family had pulled. And I invited 2 of my oldest friends, Marcus and Nate. The kind of guys who don't ask why you're burning bridges. They just bring the gasoline. We made a pact before we left. 0 guilt, maximum pettiness. I didn't say a word to my family. I let them think I was still thinking about their offer. As far as they knew, I was sitting at home, wounded and silent, maybe about to cave and join their discounted forgiveness cruise. Meanwhile, I was on the upper deck of a ship 3 times nicer than theirs, watching the Miami skyline fade behind me as I sipped a drink I couldn't pronounce. First stop, Street Kitts, then Barbados, then Dominica, Grenada, and St. Lucia. Every island more beautiful than the last. I posted the first photo on day 1. Just the 4 of us at the Sila away party. Drinks raised ocean behind us. We looked like a freaking travel ad. Captioned it. Turns out cruises are a lot more fun without people pretending to love you for convenience. That one post detonated the group chat. Within 20 minutes, I had a missed call from my mom, 3 from my sister, and a string of texts from Trevor. "Dude, WTF? Are you seriously doing this? You're just making things worse." Then came Aunt Lisa, queen of the passive-aggressive Facebook comments. Some people really don't understand forgiveness. I didn't delete anything. I didn't reply. I just posted more. Day 2, breakfast on the balcony, tropical fruit and champagne. Day 3, swimming with sea turtles in turquoise water. Day 4, group photo after our massage appointment with the caption, "No stress, no drama, no relatives." Every post hit like a slap. They weren't even subtle about it. I caught my mom lurking on my stories. Same with my sister, who left a comment on one of Nate's photos. "This is disgusting." Then deleted it an hour later. By day 6, my dad left a voicemail that started with, "Listen, you've made your point," and ended with, "Grow the hell up," which was bold coming from the guy who once blamed me for breaking a lawnmower I wasn't even home to touch. Then it escalated. Apparently, their replacement cruise hadn't gone smoothly. My sister messaged me this essay-length paragraph about how the ship was smaller than expected. The air conditioning in their room barely worked, and someone got food poisoning on night 3. I read it while eating lobster on a catamaran. On day 10, I posted a photo of me and Marcus in tuxedos at the formal dinner, and my girlfriend holding a glass of wine with the caption, "Booked it with my own money." This time they lost it. Uncle Mike texted me a screenshot of my own post with the words, "Why are you doing this to us?" My mom sent one of those manipulative texts that starts nice and ends like a punch. "We just wanted to be included in your life. You keep pushing us away. This isn't how families are supposed to act." I didn't respond, but Marcus did. In the next post, he uploaded a video of us clinking glasses under the stars, laughing at something I didn't even remember, with the caption, "Sometimes you have to lose the weight to stay afloat." 2 weeks, 0 regrets. When we got back, I walked into my apartment to find 3 voicemails waiting. One from my sister asking if we could have a real conversation. Another from my mom telling me I was ruining things, and the last one from Trevor saying he was disappointed in how I handled everything. Right? I was the problem now. I didn't answer any of them because the truth is that cruise was the best thing I've done in years. Not just because of the beaches or the food or the silence, but because for once I wasn't being manipulated into forgiving people who didn't deserve it. I gave them a taste of what it's like to be left out, and I wasn't even close to done. It took about 3 days after I got back for the masks to come off completely. At first, the family tried to hold on to their fake calm. My mom sent me an article titled, "When Loved Ones Drift Apart, How to Heal." Trevor posted some vague quote on Instagram about growth coming from pain and tagged me in the comments. My sister texted, "I talked to Mom. She says it was all a big misunderstanding. Can we just meet for lunch?" I ignored all of it. Then they got annoyed that I wasn't falling for the performance. That's when things got nastier. My dad sent me a message that just said, "So this is who you really are?" Lisa followed up on Facebook with a status that said, "Family isn't who you share blood with. It's who shows up for you when things get hard." The comments were full of her church friends, saying things like, "So true, stay strong, and you're such a light in this world." Meanwhile, she still owed me $40 from 2011 and had called me a moody little narcissist at Thanksgiving 2 years ago. The best part, I never once said anything publicly about what happened. I never outed them. I never posted receipts or wrote my side of the story. All I did was live better, louder, and without them. That was enough to crack them. But they weren't done. A week after I got back, I got a handwritten letter from my mom. A whole letter like we were in a Victorian novel and she was dying of consumption. She said she regretted how everything unfolded and wished we could go back to before all the hurt. She wanted us to start fresh. She even underlined that part. Let's just start over. She asked me to come to Sunday dinner. No pressure. She wrote, "Just a meal like old times." I showed it to my girlfriend who read the whole thing in silence and then said, "They think they're still in control." So I went out of pure curiosity. Same house, same smell of lemon cleaner and garlic. My dad opened the door and tried to smile like it wasn't forced. My sister hugged me like we hadn't been on opposite sides of a Cold War for a month. Even Trevor was there, slouched on the couch, pretending to be interested in a sports game that wasn't on. We sat down. Food was already on the table. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, bread rolls, the whole layout like they were hosting a peace summit. First, no one mentioned the cruise. Then my mom brought it up like she was easing into a pool. "We just want you to know that we were hurt. That's why it happened. Not because we don't love you." I didn't say anything. My dad added, "We're not perfect, but you're not either, Cody." There it was. The trap. The guilt grenade disguised as accountability. Then Trevor of all people looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You really embarrassed us, man." I stood up, pushed the chair in, looked around the table. So did you? And I left. They called that night. I didn't answer. They messaged the next day. I ignored it. They even sent my grandmother to call me from her landline like I'd listened to guilt in a softer voice. I let it go to voicemail. They weren't interested in apologizing. They were interested in controlling the narrative. They wanted to hit reset, not to fix things, but to bury them. Too bad, because I wasn't playing their game anymore, and they were about to find out just how many cards I had left. After that dinner, they stopped pretending they wanted peace. The tone shifted fast. I guess when they realized I wasn't going to roll over and pretend the betrayal didn't happen, they decided to switch tactics again. Now they wanted to make me the villain. Aunt Lisa told everyone I stormed out of dinner like a child. My sister posted a photo of the table with the caption, "Some people would rather hold grudges than come together." Subtle, right? And then my mom, the one who said, "We thought it would be better without you," had the nerve to send me a long message saying she'd been crying about how divided the family had become. Like, I tore the house down instead of just walking out of it. The best part, they started reaching out to my girlfriend behind my back. My sister sent her a DM saying she hoped we could all come back together again and that I was taking things way too far. Then Aunt Lisa emailed her saying she should help Cody reconnect with his roots because deep down he's not this bitter. She showed me every single message. We laughed for a solid hour, but then came the move I didn't expect. My dad invited me to a family weekend in the mountains, a cabin rental, just the inner circle. He said he wanted to rebuild the trust. I asked who was going. He listed off the same people who left me behind on that cruise. The same ones who ghosted me for 2 months before boarding. Not one person who had my back. Not one who apologized. I told him no. That weekend, I posted a picture of me, my girlfriend Marcus, and Nate at a food festival. I didn't tag anyone, didn't caption it, just posted it. And yet, somehow within 20 minutes, Lisa commented, "Must be nice to have all the time in the world when you don't care about anyone but yourself." Trevor texted me something that made me laugh out loud. "You're being super dramatic. No one did anything to you on purpose." Oh, so I guess they accidentally booked a 2-deck family cruise, used my insurance, lied about it, and sent a group photo to rub it in. That's when I realized they were getting desperate. They were trying to bait me into responding so they could shift the narrative. If they couldn't get me back with guilt, they'd try with shame. If shame didn't work, maybe they'd try social pressure. They wanted me to snap so they could say, "See, he's always like this." But I didn't. I just kept doing what they couldn't stand. Living well, staying quiet, and ignoring them. And then came the final straw. They found out I'd been invited to another cruise. Not a family one. Not even something I planned. Marcus had a connection at his job and got us all spots on a private cruise retreat. Invite only. Smaller ship, exclusive crowd, private chefs, full service, everything. 2 weeks in the Mediterranean. Paid for. When I posted the invite, they lost it. My sister called my girlfriend crying, saying she felt like she didn't even know who I was anymore. My mom left me a voicemail saying, "If you go on this cruise, you're officially choosing them over us." And finally, Trevor, the one who said, "I always forgive," texted me one sentence. "You're dead to us now." I stared at it for a long time. Then I smiled, tossed my phone on the bed, and started packing. That final message from Trevor was the last one I ever got from him. "You're dead to us now." Like we were in some mob movie and I just betrayed the family. The irony of it, that message came 2 months after they deliberately planned a cruise behind my back, stole my booking, and tried to gaslight me into believing I was the one who tore things apart. But fine, dead to them. That worked for me. I went on that Mediterranean cruise. Of course I did. And it was unreal. Cliffs in Santorini, streets in Barcelona, private beaches in Sardinia. We had our own butler on board. Our suite had 2 balconies. Marcus made a running joke about how we should start a podcast called How to Be Dead to Your Family in Style. I didn't post much. A few quiet pictures, one of the seat at sunset, another of the 4 of us having espresso on the deck. No captions. I didn't need to say anything anymore. And still they watched. I saw their names pop up in the viewers on my stories. Even Aunt Lisa, who had blocked me 2 weeks earlier, was somehow still lurking. My sister unfollowed me, but then refollowed me a few days later. My mom stopped reaching out, but I heard from mutual friends that she was telling everyone I was going through something. Yeah, it's called peace. When we got back, there was one last twist. I got a message from my grandmother, handwritten, mailed to my apartment. She said she missed me, that she didn't understand what had happened, but she didn't like how everyone was treating me. She said she'd always be proud of me no matter where I went or who I went with. That one hit different. So I called her. We talked for 2 hours about nothing and everything. She didn't push, didn't guilt trip me. She just wanted to hear my voice. She said she was tired of the drama. I told her she was the only one I missed. We've had lunch every month since. As for the rest of them, they've been cut off. No calls, no texts, no drama. I don't owe them explanations. I don't owe them space in my life. Not after the months of manipulation, betrayal, and entitlement. They thought I'd cave eventually. They thought I'd crawl back like always. But this time, I didn't. I'm not angry anymore. Just done. And honestly, that feels better than any revenge. The update. About a month after the last cruise, I got a call from a lawyer I didn't recognize. Said he was handling something for my grandfather. Now, I didn't know much about my grandfather. He was my dad's dad, and we were never close. I remembered him as the quiet one at holidays who sat at the far end of the table and left early. We never had any bad blood, but we weren't exactly tight. He passed away a year before the cruise drama, and honestly, I figured whatever family stuff he left behind would go through my dad. Turns out I was wrong. The lawyer said I'd been specifically named in the will, that my grandfather had set aside something for me separately outside of the estate, outside of what he left my dad or anyone else. He said I'd need to come into the office to hear the details in person. So I went. It wasn't a trust fund or some secret fortune. It was land, a little house and a bit of property in Colorado. Not big, not glamorous, but fully paid off and completely mine. The lawyer handed me the documents and said, "Your grandfather was clear about keeping this out of the rest of the family's hands." I sat there in silence for a second. It didn't make sense. Then he passed me a sealed envelope with my name on it, my grandfather's handwriting. Inside there was a short letter, 3 lines. "Cody, you see people for who they are. That's rare. You'll know what to do with this. Don't let anyone talk you out of it." No signature. Just that. I left the office still not totally believing it was real. That night, my mom called, casual at first, asking how I was, if I'd been thinking about coming around more, if maybe I wanted to join them for a birthday dinner next week. I said I couldn't. She paused, then asked, "You talked to someone today, didn't you?" I didn't answer. The next day, my sister called. Same fake cheer. Then she said, "So, I guess we're all finding out about Grandpa's little surprise now. They found out, but they didn't know how much he left me. They didn't know it was in my name alone. And from the sound of it, they didn't know why, but they were scrambling now." Trevor messaged me that night with a simple, "Hey, heard about Colorado? That's awesome, man. Funny how no one cared about me until something of value had my name on it." And I hadn't even told them the whole truth yet because there was one more detail the lawyer mentioned. There was a letter my grandfather wrote 2 years before he died. A letter that was never sent to me. I went back to the lawyer's office 3 days later. He called to say they'd located something else in storage. A sealed envelope marked with my name again. This one was older, dated 2 years before my grandfather died. The envelope was yellowed and the handwriting a little shakier. Inside was a single page folded twice. No greeting, no date, just this. "They don't know what they are, but you do. You always noticed what others ignored. The little lies, the fake apologies, the way they laugh too loud when they're together and then tear each other apart in private. I saw it too. For 70 years, I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to be the bad guy. You don't have to do that. I left them what they wanted. But I left you what matters. If they find out, they'll try to twist it. Don't let them. And if they come for you, don't stay. Leave." That was it. No name, no goodbye. Just a warning and a decision he made long before anyone knew it. I sat there reading it 5 times over. By the 6th time, my phone buzzed. A message from my sister. "We need to talk. Everyone's coming over tomorrow. You should be there." No explanation, no context, just we need to talk. I didn't answer, but I already knew what it was about. They knew something was slipping away, and for the first time, they weren't in control of it. I folded the letter back up and put it in my jacket pocket. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but I wasn't going to let them write my ending. Not this time.